What happens when soil, when glitter, when concrete and discarded consumer goods become art? Materiality V2 answers that question on a continental scale. This landmark exhibition, it gathers over 70 artists from different generations across Africa to explore material as language. Now, through sculpture and installation and mixed media works, Materiality V2, it treats matter itself as the message, where process and form and meaning are all bound together. From ancestral craft to industrial pigments, the show reframes artistic hierarchies and foregrounds just how artists transform everyday substances to really speak to identity, to history, to the land and our ecology. Now, to find a little bit more about the exhibition, we're actually going to be joined by the Director of Advancement, Phumzile Zonke. Phumzile, good morning. What a convergence of ideas and material. Thank you for joining us at this hour.
Thank you very much. A very good morning to you, to the viewers at home. It is indeed an exciting moment for Iziko Museums, and we can't wait to open this exhibition, I tell you.
Well, let's look at what's on offer there. I'm trying to just imagine soil, glitter, concrete, discarded goods, this now becoming art. I think you need to speak about this core idea behind the Materiality V2 and what that essence encompasses really.
Look, this is a culmination of what came from a question that was posed by one of our senior curators, Miss Andrea Lewis, when she wanted to find out what does material tell us. And as she was pondering with that question, she started this concept with the first Materiality in 2020. And unfortunately, we had to stop the project at the time because of COVID-19. But now the conversation didn't stop, the exploration didn't stop, and the thinking around the question didn't stop. And then we continued to expand those ideas and try to figure out what these materials tell us in terms of story, in terms of labor, in terms of generation, in terms of history, in terms of memory, and how does consumerism as well kind of get involved in the whole discourse and the whole conversation. So this time around, what we're trying to do in creating Materiality V2 is to figure out, as we look at these everyday goods, whether it's sugar, whether it's tea bags, whether it's wool, whether it's grass mats, how do we tell the story? How does that link to us ourselves as individuals and in the world around us? And this is exactly what you are doing. And as well, how do we make sure that this is not only just things that are perceived as just crafts, but what is the artistic value and the artistic expression can be communicated around this as we figure ourselves out and as we also decolonize our spaces as well as a museum, so to speak.
Oh, great. I need to get further into this. You've framed it as a festival of materials and Africa as an abundance of natural resources. So to your point about memory and the language material can also hold, there's an entire conversation that also has to happen about our relationship in relation to these materials. Perhaps you can delve a little bit deeper in that thought.
Indeed. So look, our curators and our artists will probably tell you more about how these things as well affect us. But what is important is that there are stories to be told. These are not just material for the sake of material. And what we are trying to say is that we want to dismantle the historic hierarchies as well as we do so, as we address the urgent themes that emanate from these materials, whether it's our identity, whether it's our stories as well as our cultures, our heritage, but at the same time, whether even the family structures comes within these things. And therefore, as we continue to unpack this, or as artists continue to unpack this, these stories will vary from whether in South Africa or any part of the continent. And you see that in the categories within which we disassemble or we assemble these artists for our exhibitions or for this exhibition.
Yeah.
You have senior artists just coming from different parts of the continent. We have emerging career artists as well coming from here. So we're not only looking at them as individuals, but we're looking at the materials they choose to select and therefore formulate the stories around that to create the storytelling of the Materiality V2.
And Phumzile, there's a reclamation that can also happen because we can also reclaim some of the materiality that prior would have been used for exploitation, perhaps also adding agency to that. So I want to then look at how the 70 artists from across the different generations on the continent were also selected. This intergenerational Pan-African dialogue that ultimately is happening through the showcase.
Indeed, I mean, if you look at the names that are in this category, we're looking at Artie. These are famous names within the art world. We have Elias Sime, we've got Chris, we've got Walter. We also have Lungisa Gunda. You can see the diversity. You can see the tapestry of what these artists come with, but not only them in terms of their profile, but the type of material they choose, the type of artworks they decided to tell the stories, and making sure that it's not only the story of the past. We talk about the story of the now and the story of the future from the fine art point of view and from a museum point of view. Because remember, if you look at the Zuko Museums of South Africa, we're a 200-year-old institution. And throughout these 200 years, we are continuously reimagining ourselves. We're continuously trying to diversify the artworks, diversifying the stories, and making sure that not only based on expertise or age or gender or race, but we are allowing the materials and the stories to tell the story of ourselves and of our surroundings, and how we want these spaces to be seen and be perceived and be inclusive at the same time. And this is how continental this project is, and this is how also to a certain degree international it has become.
It's supporters, it's also about that enabling environment. So it sounds like we need to have a trip to Cape Town there. Phumzile, let's leave our conversation there for now. Congratulations, looking forward to plenty more action there. Phumzile Zonke is the Director of Advancement, just taking us inside Materiality Version 2. It's a landmark exhibition, you heard it there. It proves that when soil, when glitter, concrete, everyday objects become art. And they're also a language speaking to identity and history, land and ecology at large. Again, thank you to him for joining us.